Today I was going over biology and what I learned. Later on, I will be going over sexual reproduction. It's for educational purposes, just as a disclaimer. But we're starting at, sorry, I had to clear my throat. Microbiology with amino acids and nucleotides. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, likely formed on early Earth through chemical reactions between simple molecules like ammonia, methane, hydrogen, and water vapor. The process of amino acid formation involves complex chemical reactions, including condensation, redox reactions between simple organic molecules. There are over 500 amino acids in nature, but only 22 amino acids appear in the genetic code and incorporated into proteins. Amino acids combine to make proteins, which are essential for repairing body tissue, breaking down food, and performing many other functions. Proteins are made up of amino acids as linked together in chains. The linear number and order of amino acids are coded in genes. A segment of DNA proteins contain 20 different amino acids, classified by properties. Proteins are large, complex molecules that perform vital roles essential for the structure of tissue. DNA is a molecule that contains genetic info for the development of an organism. DNA is made up of two strands that twist around each other to form a double helix. The strands are made up of alternating sugar and phosphate groups. The strands are held together by chemical bonds between four bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. Adenine always pairs with thymine, and guanine always pairs with cytosine. Chromosome is a thread-like structure in the nucleus of cells that carry DNA and pass genetic information between generations. A gene is a DNA or RNA sequence that contains the chemical info needed to produce proteins that control or influence inherited traits. The cell nucleus acts as the control center of the cell, storing the cell's genetic information and storing the genetic material, DNA, and coordinating various cellular activities like growth, metabolism, protein synthesis, and cell division by regulating gene expression and DNA replication. Direct cells' activities by controlling which genes are expressed and when. The nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear membrane with pores that allow molecules to move in and out. DNA replication and transcription, which is copying DNA into RNA, and RNA processing all occur within the nucleus. RNA is a nucleic acid present in all living cells that has structural similarities to DNA. Unlike DNA, however, RNA is most often single-stranded. An RNA molecule has a backbone made of alternating phosphate groups and the sugar ribose, rather than the deoxyribose found in DNA. RNA translates genetic info from the DNA into proteins by carrying the instructions from the nucleus to the ribosomes where protein synthesis occurs. Essentially, it acts as the messenger that decodes the genetic code to create functional proteins within a cell. Protein synthesis is the main function of RNA, is to facilitate protein production by transferring genetic information from DNA to ribosomes, where amino acids are assembled into proteins. Tissue is formed when groups of similar cells originating from the same embryonic source clusters together and work as a unit to perform certain functions. Cells bind together to form a tissue, which is the next level of organization above individual cells. Cell differentiation is during embryonic development. Stem cells differentiate into specialized cells that will eventually form different types of tissue, depending on their location and signals. Cell adhesion: these specialized cells then adhere or bind to each other through specific molecular interactions, sticking together to make tissue. Types of tissue is, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, epithelial tissue, lines the surface of organs and bodies like the skin lining. Connective tissue provides support and connects different tissues, including bone, cartilage, blood, and tendons. Muscle tissue responsible for movement, including skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle. Nervous tissue conducts electrical impulses for communication with the body, composed of neurons and glial cells. Red blood cells transport oxygen from the lungs to tissues throughout the body and carry carbon dioxide, a waste product from tissues, back to the lungs for exhalation. White blood cells, like seen on the right there, protects the body from infections and disease. Different type of white blood cells such as neutrophils, lymphocytes, and monocytes have specific roles in fighting pathogens and repairing damaged cells. Platelets help clot the blood to stop bleeding when injuries occur. The heart functions as a pump, continuously circulating blood throughout your body by contracting its chambers to push oxygen-rich blood to the body, and then receiving oxygen-poor blood to be reoxygenated in the lungs. This is all controlled by electrical systems and pulses to regulate the rhythm of the heartbeat. The heart has 4 chambers, 2 atria, or upper chambers, and 2 ventricles, lower chambers. Oxygen-poor blood enters the right atrium, flows through the valve to the right ventricle, then is pumped through the pulmonary valve to the lungs via the pulmonary artery. In the lungs, blood picks up oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. Oxygen-rich blood then returns to the heart through the pulmonary veins entering the left atrium. From the left atrium, blood passes through the mitral valve to the left, which then pumps the oxygen-rich blood out to the body via the aorta. Valves within the heart ensure blood flows in one direction only, preventing backflow. Electrical conduction system. The heart's rhythm is controlled by a specialized electrical system starting with the sinoatrial node, which acts as a pacemaker, generating electrical impulses to cause the heart to contract and pump. Veins are blood vessels that carry blood from the body's tissue and organs back to the heart. Also helps regulate blood pressure by holding a large amount of blood. There are 3 layers of a vein. The inner layer lines the vein and prevents blood clots. The middle layer, which is a smooth muscle that helps contract and pump blood. And the outer layer, a connective tissue that anchors the vein to the surrounding tissue. The lungs facilitate the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the body and the environment. Oxygen from inhaled air passes into the bloodstream while carbon dioxide is exhaled. The lungs filter and remove harmful particles and pollutants from the air that we breathe. The lungs help maintain the body's proper blood pH levels by releasing carbon dioxide. The liver, a vital organ that removes toxins, waste products, and old blood cells from the blood. It produces bile, a fluid that helps digest fats and eliminates waste products. The liver stores vitamins, minerals, and glucose, which is a sugar. The liver produces proteins that are essential for blood clotting and other bodily functions. The liver breaks down and metabolizes medicines. The liver can regenerate itself after being damaged as well. The stomach can hold large volumes of food by expanding. When eating food, it goes down your esophagus, down your throat, to your stomach. Muscular walls churn and mix food with gastric acid and enzymes. Gastric acid breaks the food down into smaller particles. The stomach produces gastric acid, mucus, and hormones to regulate digestion. Once food is sufficiently processed, the food passes into the small intestines for further digestion and absorption. The small intestines is where most of the digestion and absorption of nutrients from food takes place. It is divided into 3 sections. Duodenum, the first part receiving partially digested food from the stomach. Jejunum, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, the middle sect where most nutrient absorption happens, and the ileum, the final part connected to the large intestines. The small intestines is a long folded tube within the lining containing tiny finger-like projections called villi that increase the surface area for absorption. The small intestines absorb nutrients, vitamins, minerals, fats, and proteins from food in the bloodstream. The large intestines, also called the colon, is the final part of the digestive system, which absorbs water from the digested food, forming stool, and eliminates the waste by exiting the body. Kidneys filter waste products from the blood and produces urine, removes excess water from the blood as well to create urine. It's the body's fluid filter, maintaining proper fluid and chemical balance in the body. It also helps reduce blood pressure and produce hormones necessary for red blood cell production. The bladder collects the urine from the kidneys and stores it until it's ready to be expelled. It expels through the urethra. The bladder is made up of 3 layers: inner lining, protecting the bladder from urine. Middle layer contracts to expel the urine, and outer layer, connective tissue, anchors the bladder to surrounding organs. When the bladder is full, it sends signals to the brain that it's time to urinate. Pretty cool, I guess. Now we're on male reproduction. So the editing software I'm using won't let me use an image of male reproduction, but it will let me use an image of female reproduction, so it's kind of weird, but anyways, the vas deferens, I hope I'm saying that right, is a muscular tube that carries mature sperm from the epidermis to the pelvic cavity. Seminal vesicles glands are glands that produce fluid-rich fructose, which nourishes sperm. The prostate gland is a gland that contributes fluid to semen and surrounds the urethra. The urethra is the tube both urine and semen are expelled. Sperm is produced within the testicles, which then mature in the epidermis, travel through the vas deferens, and are combined with fluids from the seminal vesicles and prostate gland to form semen, which is ejaculated through the urethra during sexual arousal. During sexual arousal, muscles in the reproductive organs contract, propelling sperm from the epidermis into the vas deferens. As sperm moves through the ejaculatory ducts, fluids from the seminal vesicles, and prostate are added, forming semen. The semen is forcefully expelled through the urethra by contractions of the pelvic floor muscles. Hormonal regulations. Testosterone, the primary male sex hormone produced by the testes responsible for sperm production and development of the male sex characteristics. Now we're on to female reproduction. Ovaries contain eggs and produce hormones like estrogen and progesterone. Releases an egg into the fallopian tube during ovulation. Fallopian tubes carry eggs from the ovaries to the uterus. Have cilia, hair-like structures that help move the egg. The uterus is a pear-shaped organ where fertilized egg implants and develops into a baby. The menstrual cycle is a series of changes that occur each month to prepare for pregnancy. The average menstrual cycle is 28 days. With pregnancy, it begins with fertilization of the egg by sperm. It lasts until the birth of the baby, the period in which the fetus develops inside the woman's womb, usually lasting 40 weeks or 9 months. As measured from the last menstrual period to delivery, the fetus grows and develops. The process includes significant changes in the mother's body to support the fetus. The pregnancy ends with the delivery of the baby, either through childbirth or medical procedure. When a sperm and egg join in the fallopian tube, creating a zygote that implants in the uterine lining, the zygote then divides into a cluster of cells called the blastocyst. The inner cells of the blastocyst becomes the embryo, which develops into the baby. The embryo is called a fetus after 9 weeks. The support system. The placenta and umbilical cord supports the fetus during pregnancy. The placenta transfers oxygen and nutrients and hormones to the fetus and removes waste products. The umbilical cord connects to the placenta to the fetus. As pregnancy progresses, the uterus expands the fetus, the baby's organs, and the body systems to develop, and they gain weight. During labor and birth, the cervix opens and thins. The uterine contractions that help open and thin, allowing the baby to move through the birth canal. The skeletal system. The adult is made up of 206 bones, which are divided into two categories: the axial skeleton, which is up to 80 bones, and the appendicular skeleton, which is 126 bones. The skeleton primary function are to support the body, like the framework of the body, protect internal organs, and allow for movement. Skeletal bones are made up of connective tissue, calcium, and bone cells. The axial skeleton, the central core of the human body, protecting your organs such as the skull, protecting the brain, spinal cord, rib cage, protecting many organs, and the backbones. The appendicular skeleton are bones of the upper and lower limbs, arms, hands, legs, hips, feet, shoulder, for mobility. Bones sit in sockets where two bones connect, are called joints. Cartilage is the smooth, rubbery tissue that is on the joints, acting as a cushion for the two bones in the joint socket. Ligaments are strong fibers that connect bone to bone. Tendons connect muscle to bone. And now we're on the muscular system. Muscular system is made up of 700 muscles, including skeletal muscles, cardiac, smooth muscles that enable movement, maintain posture, and circulate blood, as well as move your skeleton. Muscles are attached to bone and enable voluntary movement by muscles pulling and contracting. It allows bones to move, forming the neuromuscular system. Muscle tissues also protect the bone and organs. The neuromuscular system is the brain sends signals to the upper motor neurons in the brain, which connect to the lower motor neurons in the spinal cord, I should say. Lower motor neurons send axons to muscles through nerves in the arms and legs. The axons end in presynaptic terminals at the neurotransmitter junction. Terminals release acetylcholine, I said that wrong, I'm sure, a chemical that stimulates muscle receptors. If enough receptors are stimulated, the muscles contract. Essentially, when you want to move a limb, the brain sends signals to contract the muscles in the limb you want to move. Body fat, known as adipose tissue, has many functions. One is energy storage. The body fat is used by the body for energy when food is scarce. It insulates the body from cold temperatures. Body fat releases hormones that regulate metabolism, appetite, and insulin sensitivity. Now on to the final section, the nervous system. The nervous system is a complex network of nerves and nerve cells, neurons, that transmit signals throughout the body. It's made up of two main parts, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system includes the brain and spinal cord, while the peripheral nervous system is made up of nerves that branch out from the spinal cord throughout the body. Transduction is when tissue is damaged. Specialized receptors release chemicals that convert the physical stimulus, like heat or pressure, into electrical signals. These electrical signals travel along the nerve fibers to the spinal cord. This is called transmission. In the spinal cord, the pain signals can be amplified or inhibited by various factors, including other sensory inputs, emotions, and past experience. This is modulation. And then finally, projection. The pain signals then ascend to the brain, where they are processed and interpreted as pain. And that's the very basics of biology that I went over so far. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And just thought I'd share everything I've been learning so far. And I look forward to doing the next lesson or video. Thanks for watching.